Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Full game for the win! Ayler's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday. It is now January the 3rd, 3 days into 2025. Thanks a lot for being with us. Hope you had a great week as last year ended and the new year has begun. Plenty to talk about as the college football playoffs roll on, and they are full with the Final Four. Indiana basketball on the hardwood last night, catching a break and getting a win over a very, very talented Rutgers team that was without its star in Dylan Harper, but the freshman phenom Dylan Harper, but his running mate Ace Bailey did not let him down. He put on a show. 39 points from the freshman. 39 points from a freshman. Let me repeat that. And they were without their star freshman Dylan Harper. So Indiana has a great team effort. We'll talk to Todd Leary about this in depth, as a matter of fact, when he joins us here on the program. As our this instead of doing the post-game show last night, we with Todd going to be on the show, we're like, why not just do it on the show, which is what we're going to be doing. So looking forward to Todd joining us here after this first break, and we'll get into it and breaking down the action from last night as Indiana got help from the two places that won the game for Indiana, one of which is a little shocking, but 3-point shooting carried the Hoosiers to a win last night because they shot better from the 3-point line, and they put up 27 3-point shots, if I remember correctly. I don't have the stats up just yet, but they hit 44%. They didn't hit 44% from the field overall. They had a very, very poor shooting night, but that was greatly offset by the fact that they pulled down 18 offensive rebounds. 18-7. That's a huge spread. But more importantly, it led to 34 second chance points. Those are huge numbers. But you combine that with the 3-point shooting where Indiana goes 12 of 27 and hits for 44%. Anybody will take that all day long and twice on Sunday. Not so good for Rutgers, as they were 6 of 21 for just 29%. That's probably where they lost the ball game, without question. That and the offensive rebounding. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break as the shot doctor, the Todd father, Todd Leary, will join us. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. We've got it all coming up today. Plenty to talk about. Notre Dame knocks Georgia out, the SEC. One team remaining, and that's a team that shouldn't be there if it hadn't been for a blown no call, non-targeting call that was not made. But we've got plenty to get to on this first Friday of the new year, and we'll do just that on the other side. Here from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming at you on this Friday. Glad to have you, and glad to have Todd Leary, more importantly, from myjumpshot.com. Todd, how are you, sir?
I am terrific. How about yourself?
Cannot complain. It's Friday of a short week, but it kind of sucks because we've had those short weeks 2 weeks in a row, and next week reality comes slapping you back in the face.
No doubt.
And speaking of reality slapping you in the face, it looks like we're going to get slapped in the face with about a foot of snow.
Yeah, we're going to get to fight all of the demons at one time, and that reality slapping you back in the face trying to get into a normal schedule again is not easy to do for every right after the first every year.
Well, especially it's cold. It's and it's hadn't been that bad, but it's going to hit right at the same time of that. And so, and then people, yourself, everyone that has to be out. We don't get snowfalls like this anymore. Hardly ever. I mean, when I was a kid, they were pretty common. And now it's like, what's that? Do you talk? It's now a big snowfall is like the rotary phone.
It
like
is.
People are like, have you ever seen one of those videos where give a rotary phone to like an 18 or
A
19-year-old
young kid,
kid.
yeah.
They cannot figure it out. I'm like,
Nope.
oh my God. It's like I grew up in the freaking 1800s.
Yeah, I know.
Makes you feel that way. Last night had to be a mixed night for you. I understand. I'll get this out of the way quickly. Georgia goes down to Notre Dame, and I'm only saying that he has Georgia in his family, so it's he is a fan by
The important part of the family that needs to be the side that needs to be happy.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see again. People keep forgetting about the home field. Indiana lost to Ohio State and to Notre Dame on the road at those places. These other games that are being played on neutral site locations, it's like that is not even being taken into consideration by a lot of those the national pundits early on. And I'm like, dude, that matters. It matters big. There's a reason why all 4 home teams won dominantly.
Yeah, well, it's just, I don't know, ironic's not the right word. It's just interesting to play along right after, I think, not just Kurt Herbstreit, and I like Kurt Herbstreit a lot. I love his commentary during games and that stuff, but I really just, I didn't agree with this take that he had on a couple of the teams not being, at the same level as some of the other teams that were in there. And then when all 4 teams with a bye get beat, kind of shoots that argument out the window, because they were definitely supposed to be the best 4 teams and they all lost. So it just, the whole thing played out in kind of a unique way that I doubt we'll see too many times in the future, but it's definitely interesting.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that on the show later on. We're here to talk about Indiana basketball and getting a much, much needed win over a Rutgers team that was had one hand behind its back. They did not have Dylan Harper, and if you don't think that was huge, people, his running mate, Ace Bailey, both freshman phenoms, he filled in 39 points, 16 of 29, 4 of 8 behind the arc, only 3 of 8 at the free throw line. That's a place that is a place where both teams sucked. But Rutgers left money on the table, man. They were only 14 of 23 at the free throw line. On the road, you can't do that.
Right.
Especially when you're shorthanded like they were. Indiana didn't do a lot better. They were 16 of 25. Bad free throw shooting nights, but Indiana has a very balanced effort. They got scoring from everyone. They got 3-pointers from 6 different players, Todd. There have been games where it takes 6 games to get a 3-pointer from 6 different guys. But last night it was flowing. The shots were falling. Not the 2-point shots where they only shot 39% overall. They shoot 44% on 27 3-point attempts. Kind of back where you'd like to see them as from a number standpoint, and they hit 12 of those.
Yeah, and we're kind of celebrating the fact that our team looked like what the average looks like, maybe a little bit above average, but the average team generally makes, 9, 10, 11, 12 3-pointers in a game. And I know that's the high end of it. I get it. But the teams that compete for the NCAA tournament and the national championship, those teams generally average more 3-pointers. And hey, they played really well last night. Guys made shots. Ace Bailey was incredible. Like I a little disappointed because I wanted to see Dylan Harper play as well.
Yes.
I mean, you're only Indiana fans are only going to get to see him this one year because both of those guys will get drafted in the top 5, I'm sure.
Yes.
And so it just what an incredible performance from Ace Bailey. Like he doesn't get to do that. Like he would not have had that many points had Dylan Harper been in the game. Because
he was their only player in double figures.
Yeah. And I mean, a guy that shoots 29 times, I mean, he's incredible. I've been saying ever since I saw him in the McDonald's All-American game, he might be the best player in the country. Cooper Flagg, I think, still is, but Dylan Harper's also making a case for who's the most valuable player to be on a team. But yeah, just incredible shot making. But when you shoot 29 times, you should probably score 39 points.
And I'm telling you though, a lot of the shots were tough shots.
The harder shots he made, like that was the incredible part. Some of those step backs and his footwork, like the footwork that he showed was professional footwork. Like that's what the pros do, and it was pretty to watch.
Well, he was pretty much unstoppable,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for a lack of trying. I'll give Indiana all the credit in the world, because half of his shots, I'm like, oh my God, how did he hit that? Either somebody's in his face or whatever the case may be. He was just hitting unbelievable. He's a shot maker. I mean, it was fun to watch him without question. Indiana, a very balanced attack led by Miles Rice, 21 points, 6 of 15 from the field, 8 of 8 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with that. Then you had Umar Ballo, who came off the bench after an injury to Malik Renew very early in the game. But Ballo responds, has not played in a little minute, but he goes 7 of 13, 17 points, but he was only 3 of 9 at the free throw line. It makes up for it a little bit with 12 rebounds, which is, he gets his big double-double. But again, Indiana not good at the free throw line. It was very odd. They were knocking down 3-pointers, but couldn't hit a 2-pointer hardly to save their life.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you saw Ace Bailey fall into that same category. I mean, the guy was he made 2 fallaways from the corner and out in 3-pointers, and at the same time went 0 for 3 at the free throw line during that exact same stretch. So it was just, again, it shocks me when guys are not good free throw shooters, but to a guy that stat line won't jump out to you, but we're already back at that point. And honestly, I think Mike Woodson got to that point yesterday as well, that Anthony Leal just settles everybody down. Like Anthony Leal's stat line's never going to be incredible, but he always seems to make the pass that he makes at the time you're not sure it's right, and it seems to work out. And I think that we're back at the point where they kind of got to last year a little bit, when, there's going to be spells in games when I think Anthony Leal has to be on the floor, because he just settles everybody down and gets everybody in the right place. And that things seem to flow better offensively and defensively when he's on the floor.
Mackenzie Mbako had a nice night, 16 points, 5 of 13 from the field, 3 of 7 behind the line. He was one of 3 Hoosiers that hit 3 triples. Luke Goody, one of the others, and Trey Galloway, 3 of 6. Luke Goody, 3 of 5. Goody getting the start in place of Umar Ballo. But a nice night for Goody. Indiana had 4 players in double figures, but he had 9. He was right there. They could have had a 5th one very easily. It was just a well-rounded game. It was a balanced attack by Indiana.
Yeah, it was. And the interesting thing to know would have been, was the Ballo not starting? Did Mike Woodson like what he saw in the last game with Goody being out there? Is that something we could have trended to? The injury to Malik Renew, I'm going to completely speculate, and I'm going to tell you this is complete speculation. But based on my interactions with Dr. Rink, who took him back into the locker room, and then he sat next to for the rest of the game, when a guy comes back out on the floor, if it's a pretty serious, going to require surgery injury, they generally don't come back out on the floor. And so I thought that was a good sign that he was back out there. And I would say they were just being cautious at that point.
It's one of the first questions I asked someone sitting next to me later in the game. I'm like, is Renew over there? Because I couldn't tell. And I kept, is Renew back out there? Because for that very reason, I knew if he's not out there, then they're dealing with something, and they're back there working on it or whatever the case. They come back out. I'm like, all right, here's a bag of ice. It's probably precautionary, to be honest with you. I think it may have been his knee. I don't,
It was. I mean, you could see it on the replay, and Goody fell backwards into his knee, and it kind of hyperextended. You could see it. Like it's one of those that it didn't look that bad, and it could be terrible. A lot of those don't look like horrific injuries, and they just end up being that bad. But I think this is going to be more of a sprained whatever ligament, and something that he'll be able to hopefully play through a little bit.
And this forced Mike Woodson to, first of all, the Ballo thing forced Woodson to do something different with the lineup.
Right.
This lineup. And even with Renew going out, it didn't change because Ballo and Renew just changed spots. It seemed like they got into a much better rhythm this way, though. But I definitely defer to you. What did you see with this type of lineup?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there will be certain circumstances when playing both big guys on the floor makes sense. I don't think it's something that, I mean, in my opinion, I'd rather it not be where that is the plan, and that's what we do for 22 minutes a game. Like I would prefer it to be a situation of, there are situations that they do need to both be on the floor together. But I hope that at least this way we see more flow and up and down. I think Miles Rice is more comfortable in his role when they're playing like this. So I think it's just better for all of them involved.
Yeah, and it was the shooting, though, for a team that has just, like, not talking about last month, I'm talking about the last couple of games, they could not hit water from a boat. And last night they couldn't miss. They shoot better from three than they do the field. Not many teams do that when you put up 27 attempts. That's hard to do, but they did. They looked fluid. They didn't look like they were forcing many of the shots, or there were a couple of shots that were probably ill-advised, but other than that, most of them were good shots.
Yeah, no, they were. I mean, I think Mbako forced a couple, but I don't even say that negatively. I'd almost be mad at him if he didn't force a couple every game, because he's liable to make those. And so, he's the one guy I think you maybe give a little more rope to than everybody else, but we're celebrating Indiana making the high average of what teams across the country make in a game. And so all I'm saying is that I would like for that to become a little closer to normal. They don't have to make 12 every game to win, but I do think that they're in a situation where they, it's got to become a bigger part of their arsenal than what I think it was intended to be to start the year.
And this ISC says Indiana played harder. Ballo definitely seemed to play harder. I don't know that he expected to play. Maybe he would have played regardless at the first timeout or first break for Renew. I don't know. But when he went down, he had to instantly come in. But he responded. And as a matter of fact, last night when someone asked Woodson about was that him coming off the bench, was that disciplinary or planned, whatever, and he goes, let's talk about the 17 and 12. And so he just quickly diverted to that, which
and who cares? Like that. That's what,
I get it. I mean, anybody that expects them to talk about this stuff, I'm like, where have you been your entire athletics life? Nobody does that. They're not going to sit up there and say, well, he got caught speeding, or he stayed out late, or whatever the case. They're not going to do that. And I don't understand why people expect that. I don't really give a, yeah. Anyway, he responded, but he seems to respond, but they need to get him where he's not responding, but that is his bar.
Ballo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the announcers last night were even they commented on the fact that I think Indiana's the description a place would an analyst would give of Indiana this year is they're inconsistent, and I think you can go each player is inconsistent, the team as a whole is inconsistent, but if you had to name the one guy, if you ask me who I think has been the most consistent player all year long, I would say Ballo. I mean, I think he gives you what I think you expect to get from him. He shores up the rebounding. I wasn't sure he would be as good a rebounder as like what Trace was and that stuff, or as what Ware and Renew, the combo of them last year was. But he is like he's that long, he's that big, and he has fixed something we don't talk about a lot is Indiana getting out rebounded a ton, and that's because he's just shored that gap up, and that's a big deal. At Hatton, when he got to come in, those rebounds that he got were a big deal. And I think that's why I would put him in the category of I think he's been the most consistent player for Indiana.
Yeah, he's just missing, averaging a double-double right now at nearly 13 points and over 9 rebounds a game. That's a nice piece to know you're going to get every game. That helps immensely. But and seeing the balanced scoring last night from Indiana, that's something that we haven't seen a lot of, where they're getting a lot of guys involved. Four players in double figures, could have been 5 easily. Luke Goody with 9 points on his night, 3 of 5 shooting overall, all of those coming from behind the 3-point line. That's a hell of a thing when you got a guy that can knock that down. That's a great little addition.
And honestly, like when shots are starting to go down for one player, for example, it is contagious. I know technically it's really not, but I mean it is contagious. Guys feed off of it, and other guys that maybe aren't technically great shooters make shots because everybody's confident and the momentum's flowing and the crowd's flowing, and you feed off of all of that, and you feed off of negativity as well. And when shots are not going in, that works that way too. And so last night, shots started going down, and guys took advantage of it, and Indiana played like I think we expected to see them play. It's just it's January 2nd, and that's really one of the first times I think we've seen them just look like they were in control of the game throughout.
Yeah, and I wonder, with Renew being forced to the sideline, not giving Woodson the opportunity to run them together, did that change things in your eyes, do you think, just from analyzing the game, watching this game, how it's been?
I think that that's probably pretty accurate. I think he would have played them definitely together, and I'm not opposed to that. Like I said, I think there's situations where that might win a ball game for you, and it might, but I don't think it's going to win enough ball games to win the Big Ten for you. People can adjust to that, and so I think that the coaching staff, when asked the question, "What's the identity?" and still, I think at this point. I think they opened the broadcast last night on the game, talking about they're not sure what Indiana's identity is, and I think they're learning their identity a little bit more. I think Mike Woodson learned a little bit more about their identity. I don't know it's defined yet. I still can't quite define it, but I can tell you it's leaning more in a faster paced direction, the direction I think we wanted it to go.
Now, one thing, this is a great question from Chris. Asked Todd what he thinks what is going on with Bryson Tucker. He cannot buy a shot now. Big change from early on. Yeah, last night he only 10 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 4 shooting. He was one of the only guys that did not have a decent night. No other stats to speak of, no rebounds, whatnot. Mackenzie and Baco added 7 rebounds to his tally, 5 for Goody. The offensive rebounds, but in addition to the 3-point shooting, just destroyed Rutgers. 18 offensive rebounds last night, Todd. But more importantly, that led to 34 second chance points. Of course, that does not have anything to do with Bryson Tucker, but yeah, is he just going through a little freshman.
I mean,
slump?
look, he is a freshman. It's the Big Ten, and it is sometimes hard. Like I don't think a lot of guys get enough credit that come in off the bench. It's not always easy to get yourself into the flow, and especially if things are going well. A lot of times when guys come in off the bench, they're being asked to create some kind of positivity or energy or flow or whatever you want to call it. And last night Indiana already had it, and then you're asking Bryson Tucker to come off the bench and jump right into it, and it just didn't work for him last night. It did work for some other guys. It didn't work for Kanan Carlisle last night. I didn't think he really ever got into the flow of the game. I thought he forced some shots. Thought he had some bad fouls. But
1 of 7.
There will be other games where he's, he is the guy that comes in and is the spark. And Bryson Tucker's the same way. And I think Bryson Tucker being a freshman, we got to see a little bit of why he's a 5-star to start the year out. But I think we have to be a little patient also with him and understand that he's going to have some games when he's just not as consistent and doesn't make shots.
Yeah, you're not gonna be a superstar every night, and he has shown a lot of talent. Now he's not ace.
He's shown some limitations too. He's shown some
Exactly.
limitations, and that's played like a freshman. He's shown that he struggles to defend from time to time. He takes some bad shots, and I think he's played kind of like a freshman in sometimes. Now he's played better than that sometimes as well, and when he shoots the ball well, and which Indiana is going to need him to do. I mean, don't write him off because he had an off game last night. Like he might be the leading scorer the next game. So let's not write him off. He's still got tons of potential out there.
Now, this seemingly is rolling much better with the current style of lineup, but I'm pretty certain that, like you said, they would have played last night. That when Malik Renew is able to return, we'll probably quickly see both the big guys in the lineup at the same time. And I just really wonder, is the way things are right now better? It allows them to be freer flowing, better movement. Something I did notice last night, though, from both teams, fast break points combined between both teams, 13. So
yeah, it's the Big Ten. That's not that abnormal for the Big Ten. You just don't get a lot of run outs and then also think back to what Rutgers was running last night. I mean, they ran a lot of pro sets and just tough shots were being made by Ace Bailey. So that number is not super surprising in the Big Ten. This is conference season now, and it's what's going to be.
And I understand that from a standpoint of tradition and going back. If you think back to the Bob Knight's teams, to Gene Katie's teams, to Tom Izzo's teams early on, but there's been so much change, coaches, players, the game, the transfer portal, but yet the Big Ten is still kind of the Big Ten. How does that happen with all of the change that is surrounding the game?
I mean, it's a little surprising that with the coaching, all the different coaching changes at different teams, that someone's style hasn't come in. And, but you look at Iowa. Iowa plays as fast as anyone in the country, like literally anyone in the country. We have some different styles. It just when it gets down to the end of the game, it seems like things slow down in the Big Ten. Teams come down, run an offense, and it generally ends up in some type of battle in the paint, and that's why I think the Big Ten gets the labeled as a super physical league, and that doesn't always translate. The Big Ten has not had elite shooting. I will say that. I don't think you can go across the Big Ten teams over the last 15 or 20 years, and they've not been elite shooting when you look at them across the country. And that is, I think that's translated into the NCAA tournament and why the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship in so long.
Brian says that he doesn't feel like they would have won that game if Dylan Harper had been playing. we'll never know. But he says there were some bright spots. Leo's defensive effort. I will point out there was Leo was on Ace Bailey around the top of the key, and he's moving. He's trying to get his shot working, and Leo worked his ass off to not let him, and he didn't let him get an easy shot off, and he hit it right in his face. And I'm like, there's nothing you could do about that. I mean, nothing. It was wild to watch some of the shots he hit. I mean, he had a hand in his face. But playing games like this is good for Indiana. For another reason is it forces them to play a higher tempo of defense. And I think that their next game, when they travel to the Palestra, and daggone it, I wish I was going to that game. Have you ever been there?
Nope.
It's in Philadelphia, a very, very famous arena, but they will be playing Penn State there. We'll get to that soon. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take our break so we can talk more about Indiana basketball, reviewing the game with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights last night, and we'll talk about their next matchup with a tough Penn State team at the Palestra in Philadelphia. The shot doctor, Todd Leary from myjumpshot.com, is with us. Make sure, for those of you that if you have a kid, know a kid, are a kid, family, great gift for a nephew, niece, needs help on their game, fundamentals, shooting. The Shot Father knows how to do it. Go to myjumpshot.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's C-O-Y-L-E, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, the third day? Yeah, third day of January of 2025. And we've got the shot father from myjumpshot.com, Todd Leary. Make sure great gift. I just thought of that. What a great gift that is year round for birthdays or whatever. But Todd Leary with us, and last night Indiana got back on probably one of the is this the best win of the season for Indiana, Todd, on paper?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
They managed to do it. No field goals in the last 3 minutes of the game yesterday as Rutgers pushed them to the very end, but they just could not get close enough. Rutgers had an early lead, and then Indiana made a charge. They got a little bulge and was able to maintain that. Of course, I think that shot that Anthony Leal hit at the half, as crazy as it was a huge shot in the arm. You're going into the locker room with a 3-point shot like that put him up like 41-34, I think. Just gave him a little cushion and came out, and they did not allow they did a hell of a job on Ace Bailey in the second half for a long time. He had 19 first half points. He put up how many shots did he put up? 14 attempts in the first half. He was 8 of 14. He was on fire, man. And 4 rebounds. But then in the second half, they held him to 2 points for at least the first 10 or 11 minutes of that half. But he would eventually, and he only had 4 shots up in the first 10 minutes of the half. But he made up for it. He ended up going 8 of 15 in that half and scoring 20 points in the second half. He only had 2 points 10 minutes into the second half. So that's 18 freaking points in the final 10 minutes of the game. People, I think Indiana was pretty fortunate that Rutgers was without Dylan Harper. That's probably goes without saying.
No, there's no question about that. But also, Ace Bailey would not have been taking the same shots that he was taking if Dylan Harper was in this game. So
absolutely,
it's not like you can just say they lost by 10 and that guy averages 20. They would have easily won. I just wanted to see. We love watching good basketball, and Dylan Harper is an incredible, talented player and one of my favorite players to watch play. I loved watching his dad. I thought he was a really important part of the Bulls teams, and so. I would have loved for them to have beat them at full strength, but I don't think it takes anything away from the victory. They needed this win, and they got it in a pretty convincing fashion. I mean, a 10-point win in the Big Ten that's a pretty good cushion, and you'll take that on any day. This Rutgers team can literally go into any arena and win across the country. They are that talented. They can also lose to a lot of teams they shouldn't lose to, but just because they're young. But they're extremely talented.
Oh, they were very active. Their big man, he'll post up against anybody. I mean, he's was big. Getting block shots.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And he's not as big as Ballo, but he's big enough that he's not going to get shoved around, but blocking shots, and did a great job rebounding. 8 rebounds for Ace Bailey in the game, in addition to for Williams. But the offensive rebounding, as I mentioned earlier, what an anomaly. 18-7 bulge there. But is that mainly because of Indiana taking more 3-point shots?
It's not only because of that, but it's got something to do with that. A lot of it's effort. A lot of it's guys playing hard. I think Anthony Leal is a big part of that. It always seem like he always ends up with an offensive rebound or a tip in or something like, and he's always the smallest guy on the floor, like almost always. And so it comes down to effort, and that's just he's one of those guys that I think gets everybody's engine going a little bit more, and that's why he is not, and I don't mean this disrespectfully because I don't think I would have ever fallen into that category either, but he is not one of the top 5 most talented players on Indiana's team, but in my opinion, he's one of the 5 most important players that are on the
the most
floor.
valuable.
Yep.
Without question.
He makes
brings
everybody else. He raises everyone else's level of play up, and I don't know. It's really difficult because I'm not here advocating he should start. He should play 35 minutes a game. I think, however, they figure out a way to sprinkle in his 17 to 28 minutes a game. I think that they should try to figure out how to do that, because you can almost use him as an igniter for other guys, because he'll make other guys play better.
I agree, and I also agree. There's like there's an expiration date. There's just you need to use just enough, because if you go too far, you're gonna give up too much.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be on there to start there. I'm not saying he should start, because I like him coming in and having that energy and kind of shoring things up when they start the substitution patterns. And so I do think he should play a lot, but I'm not advocating for a starting position at all. I actually think that'd be the wrong move. But
absolutely, without question. And now Trey Galloway has moved into the starting lineup. It's kind of a permanent thing for Kanan Carlisle, it looks like. He did play 15 minutes last night, but very quiet. 3 points, 1 of 7 shooting, 1 of 4 behind the 3-point line. He had the worst shooting night probably of anyone, but Trey Galloway has worked his way into that starting spot because Mike Whitson feels more comfortable with him out there, and he responded. Actually, I mean, 4 of 11 last night. He was 3 of 6 behind the 3-point line. You know, his 3-point shooting woes of the last year to have been able to go away. Why? I don't know. If did he just work on his shot?
Oh, you can tell. Look at it. His shot looks different than it did last year. He's definitely worked on it over the summer. So a lot of credit to him for that.
He looks a lot more confident when he takes it, because a lot of times he'll take the shot. As soon as that ball hits his hands, he's squared up and he's ready to take the shot.
Well, he had a hitch in his shot last year. I think you didn't have to be a shooting coach to recognize that. I mean, he had a definite hitch in it, and he's fixed that. He doesn't have it at all anymore. And you give him a lot of credit over the summer that obviously that was something that he worked on and put a lot of effort into, because he's a much more consistent, better shooter this year. You can rely on him to make a couple of shots like that every game, and they're going to need it, because I think you're right. I think he's earned his way to be in that starting lineup, and I think they play better with him on the floor in that capacity. Only if he can make shots, though. I mean, and I'm not saying if he has a bad shooting game, that means he should come out. Like, you're going to have bad shooting games, but consistently, I think he's doing a much, much better job.
Well, this Sunday, the Hoosiers travel to Philadelphia for a matchup with Penn State, which I don't know. It might be lucky for Indiana that they're not going to that coffin that you play at Penn State, but they're playing at the Palestra, which is one of the iconic venues in the country. Old school spot there in Philadelphia. Let's see, Indiana probably won both of their titles there in the Spectrum, I think. But
yeah, probably.
The Palestra has been around for quite some time. But this Penn State team has been one that, boy, you damn sure cannot ignore them. You have to take them straight up legit, because they've beaten Purdue. They've done some things. I think they're going to be one of those teams that they win games that you don't expect and they lose games that you don't expect. So I don't know what to expect in this venue for Indiana coming off of this win, the way they're playing right now, if they can carry that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State has a very veteran team that has a bunch of guys that have played a whole lot of important minutes. So they're not just old players. They're not just old in year of eligibility. They've played a lot of minutes, and so together, and that's a big deal. Obviously, I think now with the portal and all that. So yeah, they're going to be one of those teams that can beat anyone on a given night. They're probably, like you said, probably going to lose some games that you might question. But that's a place where, you know, if I think the winner of the Big Ten, if we looked at it at the end of the year, is going to go into a couple of places. I'll name like a Penn State and like a Northwestern and like it's somewhere like that, and steal a couple on the road And I think this is a good timing and a good opportunity for Indiana to go. Purdue had a good opportunity to go, in that early conference stuff that they played and go into Penn State and steal a win. And Penn State slammed that door early. Like they blew Purdue out of that game. So, it's not going to be easy, but I definitely think it's a place you could go in there. And if you played well and got things going, you can get a W.
Well, I guess the only thing they're going to have against them is, even though this is far from the Penn State campus, it's going to be in Philadelphia. So I'm sure they can find some Penn State fans. And Philadelphia's city of brotherly love, my butt. I said that's like one of the toughest cities to play a sport in anything, man. They're ruthless in Philadelphia, and they may not have anything to do. So they're like, hey, let's head to the Palestra and shake things up.
Yeah, I don't think their football game matters this weekend. Does it? The Eagles game?
I thought you were talking about Penn State.
Oh no, I mean it's going to be in Philadelphia. Philadelphia probably has a home game this weekend.
Yeah, but that just get them revved up. But this game at the Palestra, it's another opportunity for Indiana, and they have to look at this as an opportunity because you have to find places to steal wins on the road. This is one of those places in one of those games.
It is. And I'll tell you, like you don't just go in there with this big open blank mindset of, we've got to play well. Like you have to legit have goals that you're trying to accomplish. And I'm telling you, you get to the point in road games. And I think I'm not going to give Penn State enough credit to say like they're this awesome team or whatever. They're a very solid team, but they're a team I think that you could put a game plan together and go beat in their place. And so, but you got to get yourself to a certain point of it. Like you just have to give yourself a chance to win. And that's why it does make a difference sometimes in how you play the first half. Maybe you don't play quite as fast. You're literally trying to get to that last 10-minute mark, in a 5-point game. As long as you're within 5 with 10 minutes to go, you are easily within a chance to win a game. And I think Indiana has to play with a mindset of give ourselves a chance in the last 10 minutes of the game, and then anything can happen.
Yeah, without question. But they're going to have to continue the level of play that they had last night, and that's something we haven't seen a lot. They kind of sometimes seem to leave that in Bloomington instead of taking that fire with them.
Yeah. And look, a lot of it's energy. A lot of it is excitement. A lot of it is being able to have confidence and playing off of the momentum. And last night they were able to do that. And I think when the students get back and, that was not a raucous crowd last night in Assembly Hall.
Kind of subdued, to be honest with you. I mean,
but that's what's to be expected when the students aren't around. It's not a big CBS game and all that. Like that's to be expected. But, as the season moves on, every game is going to have, the lights are going to get a little brighter. And I think this team is trending positively. Like, I think we should be looking at it. They didn't show up, duds with no energy last night in a game where they kind of had to create their own energy because the crowd wasn't doing it for them. And so I give them a lot of credit for that. That was you could have laid an egg last night and let Ace Bailey beat you, and they didn't. And I do give them credit for that for sure.
Absolutely. Todd Leary from myjumpshot.com. Make sure you go there. Makes a great gift, by the way. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great weekend.
Same to you. Look forward to it. See you.
You betcha. We've got more coming up. Zach Osterman, the IU insider for the Indy Stars, joins us next on the other side of this break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Back with it right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bite, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming at you on this Friday from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined now by Zach Osterman, the IU Insider from the Indy Star. Make sure you're a follower and a subscriber, more importantly. Welcome in, Zach. How are you, brother?
Hey, how we doing?
Hanging in there, waiting for the snow to fall. I'm sure your kids don't know how excited they probably are, but they're probably excited inside.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we gotta get to Philly this weekend, so I don't know.
Oh, you're seeing. I wish that I were going. I didn't make arrangements soon enough. I should have, because I really wanted to go to the Palestra, one of the iconic venues. And this should be a good game. I mean, I guess I shouldn't just skip over last night's game with Rutgers. I've been talking about that with Todd. A solid win by Indiana. They get a little fortune with Dylan Harper not able to go. Ace Bailey kind of puts on a show, but Indiana had a very, very balanced scoring attack. They got 3-point shots from 6 different Hoosiers. 3 different Hoosiers hit 3 triples, and so that is something that Indiana has not seen a lot of this year. As a matter of fact, on 27 attempts, they shoot a higher percentage from behind the 3-point line than they do from the field overall. But offensive rebounding was huge for the Hoosiers last night, in addition to 3-point shooting. And it's whether or not they can continue that shooting, because they're going to need to on the road against a 12-2 Penn State team.
Yeah, Penn State's good this year. I mean, Penn State has the look. Still got some work to do, but they've got the look of a tournament team in year 2 under Mike Rhodes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You know, I think Friday night was or Thursday night rather was a funny game. I mean, like I just, you know, especially from Rutgers' perspective, I know they didn't have Dylan Harper, but obviously Ace Bailey put in, you know, one of the maybe at best or at worst, one of the 2 or 3 best performances I've ever seen live from an opponent inside Assembly Hall.
And a freshman to boot.
Yeah, but it felt almost, this isn't a criticism of him at all. It almost felt like that performance happened like in complete isolation from his team.
Well, yeah,
because
no one else in double figures for them.
Well, and even more than that, it didn't feel like Rutgers knew what to do with what Bailey was giving it. This is a funny Rutgers team, right? Like it's not the Steve Peichel Rutgers teams that we've been accustomed to sort of seeing in recent years with the experience and the tough defense and all that. This is a much younger team. It is a team that's leaned into kind of this dynamic freshman duo. It's a team that is, at least statistically speaking, better offensively right now than defensively, and I think you certainly saw that, on Thursday night. But I think what you saw as the game wore on was an incredibly talented freshman giving his team a platform on the road, and nobody else really knowing how to stand on that and make anything out of that. And I think Indiana, I don't know, you don't want to like assign motives to things, but it sort of felt like Indiana at a certain point kind of figured out that Bailey himself could have a great game, and that was never going to beat them. And that if they just kind of kept pushing in the ways they needed to, kept applying pressure where they needed to, especially offensively, they'd be fine. And, you point out, much better statistically from behind the three-point line last night than inside it, which is, of course, unusual for this team. 18 offensive rebounds led to 34, 36 second chance points. We don't know what Malik Renew's long-term status is going to be, but I thought Indiana was better, frankly, at times for playing a little bit smaller, but I also don't know if you want to ask Umar Ballo to play 32 minutes a night. The biggest piece for me, and this has been something that has developed now for, I don't know, a few games. I just think Indiana, if you want to talk about a team understanding its relationship to its best or its most important player, I think Indiana's starting to get there with Miles Rice. And that is, to me, Rice is unquestionably this team's most important player. He is obviously its most creative player. He has a almost innate feel for the flow of a game that I've not seen in an IU point guard since Yogi Ferrell. His ability to, he makes mistakes at times, but his ability to, almost kind of have the game on a string, speed it up, slow it down, go here, go there, is really special. And I think this Indiana team is starting to figure out, how to follow Rice when he needs followed, how to provide him what he needs to be at his best, which in turn gets Indiana at its best. And, what I wrote after the game was, and I stand by it, Ace Bailey was, might have been the best player on the floor. He was certainly the best scorer on the floor, but I don't think he was the most important player on the floor. I think that was Miles Rice. And I think the more Indiana kind of, deepens its relationship to what Rice can do for it as that lead guard, the better Indiana is going to be.
Yeah, his consistency is coming around. I mean, he's not. There have been some games where he kind of wasn't there, but more often than not, and it's not just in one aspect. I mean, he had 5 rebounds last night. He was 8 of 8 at the free throw line, only 1 of 4 behind the 3-point line, but 6 of 15 overall, 21 points, 3 assists. I mean, it's just a solid stat line, but he's becoming more of the floor leader that Indiana needs out there at all times, and especially with the different styles that they're kind of bouncing back and forth from with the dual bigs versus a smaller lineup, and he can transition in between those. It seems like that Trey Galloway has relaxed a little bit. His shooting has come around. 3 of 6 the 3-point shooting last night. It's like, okay, where does that come from after a team goes 1 of 20 and they were horrible for the last couple of games, and then last night they shoot 44%, which anybody will take every day and twice on Sunday, especially when you're putting up 27 shots. That led to a bunch of points, and between the 3-point shooting and the offensive rebounding leading to those second chance points, that was the game for Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. What I would say about the shooting in particular is, I think that the key for Indiana will kind of always be, are the right players taking the shots, and Galloway's 3-point shot has very much come back here this season. He's up over 40%. Mackenzie Mbako has taken the jump that we thought he would from the way he ended last season. Galloway's shooting actually almost 43%. Mbako's at 41.4%. You'd like to see a player like Miles Rice or Kanan Carlisle come along a little bit more. But quietly, Luke Goody has found his shot again. I don't maybe not quietly. I don't know. Maybe people are maybe this. The other funny thing about this team, and this is one reason why I think, and this kind of a tangent, but one reason why I think Rice's emergence is so important is because sometimes when you get teams like this that have so many talented pieces and almost kind of want to try and be a little bit of everything, because they have a little bit of everything, you wind up becoming, collectively kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none, if you know what I mean. And that's why I think it's so important that Indiana start to carve out and define some roles, because what can happen is you get too hung up on what everybody can be in theory, and you don't spend enough time really honing in on what everybody can be in practice. Like Bryson Tucker is a good example. He'd scored, I think, 30 points or 39 points. I'm doing the math right, in Indiana's last 4 games. That's great. That's outstanding. But, he was 0 of 4 with a turnover and a steal in 10 minutes last night. And that's fine. It's fine to know where – it's fine to be able to have a feel for, hey, this guy just doesn't have it tonight. So just let him, especially a freshman, just let him, let him sort of, fade a little bit. Others can handle it. And when I bring up Luke Goody, he's, he started 5 of 20, which means since then from 3, he's shooting about 36.5%, which is a lot closer to his career average, obviously. And it just, you talk about Galloway. I think Goody is a part of this conversation too, of guys just maybe starting to find a little bit of a measure of comfort with, this is what this team needs. This team doesn't need me to do everything to win. This team needs me to do this to win. And again, I think that's important because, the teams like this one, like depth is a bonus until it's not. And, if you have so many like potential sort of alpha leaders on a roster, I think sometimes you can risk none of them ever really asserting control, and there never being like an established sort of hierarchy, if you want to say, of kind of who does this and who's, who gets the ball in a tight moment, or what kind of shots are you trying to create for this player versus that one. it just feels like maybe Indiana's starting to figure some of that out. And I think Rice is starting to figure, just kind of circle back to him, a fair bit of that out. And Indiana is taking a lot of its cues from him.
And last night, Larry's asking, what effect did playing against the zone favor IU? One thing I'll quickly interject is I asked Woody about the output of offensive rebounds, which was phenomenal at 18. The bulge was huge early on, but it ended up being 18-7. And you mentioned the 34 second chance points. That's gigantic when you add that to the 3-point shooting, because not much else went very well, but for Indiana, but that is a positive. But I wonder if that is partly a result of shooting more 3-point shots and having a smaller lineup, actually, that guys moving around.
Yeah, I was watching this right before we came on. Ant Wright, who I think a lot of people will know is pretty active in Big Ten basketball Twitter, tweeted out a cut up of all of Indiana's made threes last night. And, there's a lot of them are coming against the zone. There are a couple, 3 of them are like tip outs off offensive rebounds. So that's having a bit of the effect as well. But it was very much Indiana taking advantage. If you look at it, there's a lot of scramble and there's good feel. Indiana's going to places, whether it's off offensive rebounds, whether it's off driving kicks. Mackenzie Mbako had a couple of really smooth sort of like shot fake, dribble, step back threes, a real pro move. The ball's going to places a zone doesn't typically want the ball to go to. The wings, the corners, it's going into the high post or into the lane, and then coming back out again. It was just good offense. And Rutgers was really struggling, obviously, to kind of play that consistent defense. But in general, it was good recognition. Again, as we talked about, a couple second chances in there, which is Indiana hasn't always been a great rebounding team, but when you're playing a zone, you're going to get some offensive rebound opportunities. Then Indiana obviously took advantage of those. But I think just a good recognition of getting the ball where a zone tends to not want the ball to go, inside out, tip drill, wings and corners, and Indiana deserves credit for that.
Absolutely. Running out of time a little bit, but before we do, I want to mention the many reports that are coming out that Curtis Rourke was discovered played with a torn ACL is what it's listed as, which I'm sure that there was some kind of tear, but obviously it could not have been a severe enough tear to where he couldn't play, because generally we see guys tear ACLs and they're done. So the fact that he was probably in pain without question, and that thumb that he dealt with, that should at the very least send a nice signal for him to any NFL scouts that he is a tougher kid than a lot of people may think.
Yeah, that kind of thing should speak for itself. And obviously, I don't think that was public knowledge in any meaningful way during the season. And if you're Indiana, you wouldn't want opponents to know they should start targeting your quarterback's knee. I've heard of that on occasion. I know there have been, 1 or 2 moments when a baseball player has pitched with a torn ulnar collateral ligament in their elbow and not realized it. But that's pretty unusual. And like you said, it speaks to a toughness that NFL people will probably be happy to see in Curtis Rourke.
Absolutely. Well, safe travels to the Palestra, which, just for those of you wondering, in Greek and Roman times, it meant wrestling or gymnasium. So there you go. There's some learning for you today. Zach Osterman, the IU Insider for the Indy Star, be a follower and a subscriber. Appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy. Safe travels.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. See you, Jim.
You bet. Zach Osterman joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up as Matt Taylor from the Colts will join us next on the backside from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Friday. I hope you might want to go to the store, depending on where you are. If you're, for those of us in central Indiana, well, I've been, of course, in Bloomington, but south central Indiana, whatever the heck you want to call it. But 6 to 12 inches of snow potentially coming. Man, we don't get that stuff anymore like that. Crazy. But it's apparently on its way, and just been making my my runs to Sam's. Stock it up, baby. Stock it up. So I don't have to go anywhere. We shall see. But yeah, I expect, what is that? Sunday. The impending snowfall is supposed to begin. So we'll be right here for you. Even if you get snowed out, can't go anywhere, we'll be right here. Don't forget to always, and for those of you that are following along on YouTube, make sure you please have hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you can never miss a thing, and all of our content that is up each day. Like Matt Taylor, who I expect to join us here in a second, and Jeffrey the Greek on today as well, as we will kind of wrap up the week of the college football playoff, as the SEC is down to one team, and they get one team in the Final Four by a BS non-targeting call. Now, we can't say with certainty that if they make the call that Arizona State wins that game, but if they make that call, it's an automatic first down. They don't punt because they ended up having to punt. It's a first down, automatic first down, already into field goal position, and this was in regulation play. And it's not to say that they wouldn't have moved the ball forward a little bit more. Texas had some bad luck with it. They had their all-time leading kicker. He has hit more field goals than anyone in Texas history. Missed 2 in the closing minutes of that game. And Arizona State could have easily won that game had that call been made. So the SEC gets one team in, and that was by sheer luck, in my opinion, because that was a blown call. I got to be honest with you. I have to be honest with you. I would have loved to have seen the I would have loved to see the SEC go down, but look who we have here today. Oh my goodness. Live in the flesh.
What are you doing?
Matt Taylor. What are you doing? I was just talking about this college football playoffs. How's it on that end?
This end is beautiful. Hard to be better. How are you? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I hope it was a great one for the family, for the kiddos. Your kiddos are about to get their biggest Christmas present. 6 to 10 inches of snow coming, man.
Oh, gosh. Don't even say that, man. That means I got a shovel. That means I'm getting stuck in it.
Dude, that's all I think about now as well. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a fan of snow anymore. When I was a kid, I loved it. Couldn't wait for it. But now it's just a nuisance. Man, the Colts just could not get it done, Matthew. They had a chance. Unfortunately, they were without Anthony Richardson. The Giants without their starting quarterback. But things just did not go well defensively against the Giants.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, you know, I've been saying this all week. There's a lot of things that you can point to about this season, not just last week against the Giants that, you know, ultimately dooms their playoff fate. But there's a lot of, you know, hard things to come to grips with this team. You know, a lot of hard truths, if you will. I think the big three are missed chances all year long. And it's tough to say or tough to think in the moment, you know, when you're playing the Packers in week 2, or you're playing the Jaguars in week 5, or you're playing, you know, the Texans in week 8, you know, that these are must-win games, or these are games that are going to decide your fate. But ultimately they were, you know, just a litany of missed opportunities this year by this team. You know, a lot of one-score losses, a lot of missed chances to beat some teams that you should have beaten, not playing complimentary football for most of the season. And that's the thing is, like, you know, you lose 2 games to Houston by a combined 5. You lose to the Jaguars, who are one of that, you know, it is what it is, right? They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. You gave up 37 points in a loss to them. You give up 45 to the Giants last week. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth there in terms of missed opportunities this year by the Colts. Then the second hard truth is, you know, you've had some public speaking, talking on the cracks of the foundation in terms of the culture of the team, right? You've had the public benching of the quarterback. You had Kenny Moore after a game say some things in terms of preparation that needs to be cleaned up. Just this week, DeForest Buckner, you know, commented that some of the leaders on the team had to, you know, hold guys accountable in terms of preparation and attention to detail and things like that. So that's not good publicly. And then third is just the defense, like you mentioned. The defense for the third straight year is going to finish 27th or worse in points allowed. In the last 7 weeks, they're giving up on average over 30 points per game. You give up 45 to the Giants last week, and they were scoring on average 14 points per game going into that game with a backup quarterback and Drew Lock. You let him score 4 touchdowns, run 1 in, and, you know, just so many things you can point to this season on the defensive side of the ball that has to get cleaned up. The sack numbers and the pressure rate is way down. The middle of the field is wide open to wide receivers and tight ends for yards after the catch. The Colts rank last in the NFL in completion percentage allowed to opposing quarterbacks, right around 70%. So there's no question those are the big three hard truths: missed opportunities, cracks in the foundation, and then the defensive side of the ball. With so much talent, so much individual talent on that side of the ball, mystifying that it's still ranking where it ranks overall on the season.
Absolutely. And the hard truth is always what we like to bring, baby, from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. But they have a game to finish it out. And it has to be extraordinarily difficult to go into the last game of the year knowing that it means very little. You're coming off of a loss that meant a lot, and there's nothing you can do, but you still have to go out and be a professional and play to the level and to the standard that you're expected to.
No question, and that's what they have to do this week. To your point, they have to balance the harsh reality of not making the playoffs for the fourth straight year, but also trying to close the season out strong, try to get a win inside the division, trying to even up the season series with the Jaguars. And another big storyline this week, at least as of right now on this Friday morning, Anthony Richardson hasn't practiced yet, and he could miss another game. And if he misses this game on Sunday, it'll be his 17th game missed due to injury, and the 19th game overall he will have missed in 2 years. So potentially 19 games out of 34 he will have missed in his brief 2-year young career. And you talk about needing to grow and get time on task and experience, all of that stuff matters, and it's all going to add up. So even if he does play on Sunday, it'll just be his 15th start, which means he will have started less than 1 full year out of 2 so far in the NFL. And I thought this season going into it, in terms of goals and aspirations for the Colts, was about 3 things, right? It was about getting back into the division, winning a division title for the first time since 2014, making the playoffs for the first time since 2020, and then knowing definitively at the end of the season whether or not Anthony Richardson can play. How much stock you can put in him being the franchise quarterback going forward, have him grow, have him develop. And you can argue that all 3 of those things are going to fall short this year. You still have a lot of question marks about Anthony. He's still got to grow and get better. His completion percentage is 47.7. His passer rating is last in the NFL, along with that completion percentage. So right now he's really great at 2 things. He's a wildcat quarterback. He can run the ball really well. He set the franchise record for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in a single season. He's a really good deep ball thrower, but everything else in the intermediate part, over the middle of the field, that has to get better in the passing game. And the Colts have compensated for that, honestly, a lot this year. I mean, they've won a lot of games, believe it or not, where they are sub 200 yards passing and sub 50% completion percentage. But in the long term, as we all know, that's not sustainable. You're not going to win big with those numbers. You've got to get better in the passing game. And that's why this offseason is so important for Anthony Richardson, regardless of whether or not he plays on Sunday.
Absolutely, man. And let's hope that whatever happens, and the things get to where Indiana fans want it back to, because the Colts have a great fan base. It's a great franchise. It's been a great franchise, and nothing replaces winning. And I know everyone wants to get back to that. First of all, I want to thank you. This is the first time we've ever had you on camera on the show, I think.
Well, it's because I'm so ugly. I don't like it. So that's why.
Well, dude, what are you talking about? That's why I'm in radio. I have a face for radio. I used to be a TV sports anchor, but I realized I had a face for radio and a voice for newspapers, but an intellect for yearbooks. So
I think it's also the first time I figured out I had a camera on my phone.
Yeah. Did you get to check out the CFP game last night? Of course, Notre Dame and Georgia.
A little bit, not much. That game started at 4:00, so it was kind of a wonky start in terms of work schedule and commute home and things like that. So saw the tail end of it and just saw the whooping that Notre Dame was putting on in the trenches. So really impressed with what they've been able to do so far in two playoff games.
Yeah, the SEC actually lucky to still have a team alive, because there was a bad no call that allowed them to escape that game with Arizona State. But it is amazing to me, and I know that this is sounding homerish and I hate it, but Indiana was eviscerated after their loss at Penn State, at Notre Dame. How are people forgetting about the difficulties of playing on the road? Because you look at these other games that are on neutral sites, and very similar to Indiana lost by 10 to Notre Dame. They only give up 27 points. This Georgia team on a neutral site does less, but yet Indiana's a team that didn't belong, and all of this, that, the other thing. But it's football, college football has changed immensely, and it's great. I love the parity.
Yeah, no question about it. And I'll say it again. I've said it before, but the college football playoff system is really cool. I'm all on board with 12 teams, and I'm actually okay with automatic bids. I'm not okay with automatic buys. You're right. So Boise State and Arizona State should not have been given automatic buys. You had some of the best teams in the country hosting true home games in the first round of the college football playoff. Yep. And that's a tall order. I don't care if it's, as we saw, some of the best teams in the country, like Indiana and Tennessee, got blown out by teams that should have been given buys into the second round that had to play in the first round. They played at home, and it's tough. That's a tall order for any team in the country, and that's why I think a lot of those games were lopsided. I think if you had reseeded that thing, maybe Indiana gets a home game against a team like Boise State in the first round, then the winner of that game plays Ohio State or Oregon in the neutral site rounds, if you will, the round that we're in right now. So, listen, it is what it is. Even in the old college football playoff system, right, where it was down to 4 teams, you had a lot of blowouts in that format too. So, to me, it doesn't take 3 or 4 rounds to determine who the top 3 or 4 teams in the country are. But because we have a playoff system, there's always going to be teams left out, and there's always going to be a lot of griping and moaning about the teams that are, left out of the playoff spots.
Absolutely. So is that your where it all happens? Is that oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Home studio A, baby.
That's right. It's like Studio 54 in here, SNL.
You got the crew in there?
I got the cast I got my cast of crew right here. I got Casey on the 1s and 2s. I got my main man, Chris. I got my main man, Jeffrey, over here, and they're just making fun of me the entire day. But you know what? I can give it right back to them, man. So we go round and round and round.
You're going to start a daily show, man. You've got the guys there. I wish I had that to bounce off of. You've got it set up. The Matt Taylor Show, man.
They keep me on my toes. Let's just put it that way.
Brother, we appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks so much.
And Happy New Year to all the Taylorettes there as well.
You got it, baby.
Appreciate you guys. Matt Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got more coming up. The Greek, Jeffrey the Greek, joins us from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios after this break. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep.
proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bites, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this New Year's Friday, and joined by Jefrey the Greek. I wish I had some walk-up music for you, man. I was thinking about that a minute ago. I'm like, what would it be? I was like, boy. Ironically, Indiana basketball plays at Penn State this weekend, but they're playing in Philadelphia at the Palestra. And do you know what Palestra means?
No clue.
In Greek or Roman times, it was the gymnasium or the wrestling arena.
There you go. I know Fran McCaffrey has some connection to it. That's
segue. Greek,
there.
Get it?
Yeah.
Greek segue.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, missed out on that. Hey, man, the college football playoffs, I've enjoyed the hell out of them. I don't care about all the complaining, the bitching, the moaning. It was premature, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, it was wrong as hell for so many different reasons. And not because of teams getting beat. The first round are with the home venues. It's going to be hard for a team that's not the home team to win, because obviously you're going to be the lower seeded team. So you've got everything going against you. And I don't like the fact that that's not how, like in the NFL, all the games are like that, but also the NFL does not have subjectivity basing on who is in the damn playoffs. It's simply wins and losses at that level. So you can't look at it that way. I don't mind the home environments, but if they're going to keep that, they have to split the tickets. I think that it's BS to have a college football team but put them in this disadvantage. They would want to do things to see better games.
A couple things, a lot packed there. Number one, I don't think the goal should ever be to be completely like the NFL. If there are differences between college football and the NFL, that's yeah. And then you actually brought me up to the first point I wanted to bring up, Jim. So thanks for jogging my memory here.
Baby, segue.
Yep. It's been a couple weeks since we talked. I unfortunately couldn't join the show last Friday. And anyways, what I want to say is awesome season by the Indiana Hoosiers, right? I mean, phenomenal season. We've seen now, in the past few weeks that obviously Indiana deserved to be in the college football playoff. I said it at the time. I've been steady saying that. But at the end of the season, Indiana has a unfortunate, probably to a certain degree, unavoidable thud that brought the season to an end. However, that shouldn't discredit all of the fun and great stuff that happened to the Indiana ball players, coaches, and fans.
But
so
didn't
don't
Tennessee,
let out,
didn't
but
Georgia?
don't let out. Hold on. Don't let outside people ruin and tell you that your regular season is delegitimized because of one score at the end, which is what I've been trying to tell you, Jim Coyle, for 2 years, 3 years coming on this show, on this show, right? As you
Yes,
have
sir.
crapped all over Iowa and the Big Ten
I
West,
used to when it was
and the
fun.
and you did, and the big, but it's not fun when you're on the other side, is it? When you're an Indiana fan that is continually getting crapped on because of one score at the end of the year going against a really, really good team. Okay. When Iowa went up against eventual national champion Michigan, okay, in the Big Ten championship, eventual national champion Michigan. And it was, well, we are discounting everything that happened because they just played in this bad Big Ten West. No, that's not true. The fact of the matter that we see, which has been the case of college football probably my entire or your entire life, which is there are big tiers that happen. And these top 2, 3, and I think maybe we have 4, I don't know, teams are simply the gulf is there between the top teams, the next 10 teams, and then the next 10 teams after that. Where exactly that line is at, we're never really going to know. It's going to be different year to year. We're not going to know until these teams play half the time. But and I saw somebody comment on Sean McDonough. I tried to go after Sean McDonough as hard as I could on Twitter and on the podcast right after your guys' game was over because I knew it was unfair. And then not only was it unfair, it has proven to be wholly inaccurate, seeing as how we just saw Notre Dame play Georgia on a neutral field and by and large dog walk that SEC champion team. Indiana had to go into, they had to play right underneath touchdown Jesus and did very well, all things considered. That is the perspective that that Sean McDonough and a lot of the people from the 4-letter network were lacking. It was awesome to see, that this thing play out a little bit more. I'll stop talking now, but I do want to say this is only our first look into this college football playoff. I think we got to be really careful projecting 10 years into the future simply for what we have gotten just here in the last 2 weeks. Like, we've got more to figure out with this thing as time goes on, but agree with you. Overall, it's been fun. Not all the games are as compelling as I wish they would be, but I still like what we have wound up with for the top 4 teams, especially when, the SEC is taking it on the chin left and right.
Had this been done the way it should have been done, and by that I mean your seeding and your ranking are the same. Had they simply done that, Indiana would have, and I'm not saying this just for Indiana, but the whole thing, Indiana would have hosted a game, but it would have been Indiana against Boise State or Arizona State, I think. Well, they ended up 10th, and they got moved down by the 2 auto buys because they were both ranked below them, below Indiana, but they moved Indiana down 2 spots to
they would have been 8. So they could have been 8.
And they would have been 8 and hosting a game, but it also would have been who they were playing. It would have been Indiana, Boise State, or Arizona State, and those other 4 games would have all been, I think, much better games. They would have been probably. And then, right. But you never know when you're going to have a blowout. I mean,
there you go. Okay.
TCU got beat like 1,000 in the national championship game a couple of years ago.
And we see, and not to lean on the NFL, but we see blowouts in the wild card, stuff all the time. We see blowouts, we see blowouts in the Super Bowl, like all throughout the NFL playoffs. We see blowouts peppered. People have done a much better job than me doing research on the 4-team playoff era and how many blowouts we had in that era. That I might butcher the stat, but it was something like 21 of 30 games in the college football playoff era were decided by 10 points or more, or 2 touchdowns or more, or whatever it was. But this is the nature of I think just the laziness of a lot of people on this sport, where I think they're so bored with it. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm saying some people are, that they have to drum stuff up to get that's what they think they have to do to get people interested, when really college football purists and people that just want to sit down and watch a beautiful sport, we just need somebody to just give an honest take on what's happening, not try to program our brains on what they think should happen or what they want to see. Just tell us what happened and tell us in a colorful way, and college football fans will flock.
Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt seems to be the only guy, the only national guy who actually covers college football and gets it. He just sees it as it really is, and he's just not he's not a talking piece.
And to build on that, Jim, you know, the SEC has really struggled. You know, like not awful, not ACC awful, but just not good. Okay, and even then,
most, because they shouldn't. Texas shouldn't even be in the damn thing now. That missed call. That
right? Yeah. And who knows if that would have 100% decided the game. But the point I'm trying to make is this: you were just talking about Joel Klatt. There is a very, real opportunity here for Joel Klatt, who obviously has, ties with Fox. He could be just absolutely hammering the SEC right now. He didn't even say that. He just said what a lot of Big Ten fans, including myself, which is, we think the SEC is a really good football conference. We just don't think it is leaps and bounds and 8 to 10 times better than every other college football conference on the planet. This is all Big Ten fans have been trying to say for years. It is coming to fruition more than any time, and that's what we're trying to say.
And they have had times where they probably were a little bit ahead, deeper down.
Yep.
But that is not now. They are not. They are not at the top. They're not even in the middle. And that is what really says a lot, because we saw Illinois beat South Carolina. We saw Michigan beat Alabama. And I don't want to hear this crap about it. They didn't care. Michigan didn't have half of its damn team. Alabama had virtually everybody.
For sure.
And Alabama, I love Kalen DeBoer, but I'm sorry, you cannot lose to Oklahoma for your third loss at the end of the year, score 3 points, and then have people say, well, this is a deserving college football playoff team.
And what I'm hoping is that what we have seen really the past 2 years, right? Because this is the second year in a row that the SEC champion has gone into the playoffs and got beat. Okay, 2 years in a row. Alabama last year, Georgia this year, by Michigan last year, and Notre Dame this year. Okay, 2 Midwest thick-ankled teams have just took out the SEC champion 2 years in a row. Okay. And what that means to me is the osmosis needs to happen between the common sense college football fans down to SEC fans and people that call games on ESPN. It needs to soak in to say, when teams like Alabama finish with 3 losses and get beat by Oklahoma, we're not listening to this. Don't even bring these arguments to the table that you invented the sport and we should all bow down to you. We're not buying it anymore. The fight is on. We're not going to listen. I think some of this will finally start soaking through.
I have the biggest thing for me, as I've just sat back and told myself, I have a lot of respect for these guys. I try to be as knowledgeable as possible, but I know that I'm no expert, but I'm starting to wonder if there really are any experts, because you can have a lot of knowledge and you can have more knowledge and you can be in a position where you have people giving you more knowledge and access to more knowledge, but they don't know. They don't know who's going to do what. And that has never been proven more than now. But I think a big part of it is because that's how it used to be. And it kind of was that way, but that was before NIL allowed the rest of the world to catch up to the SEC.
There you go.
And
Jim,
I think that people are completely missing that point.
Yes, Jim, you could search my Twitter history, and something I have said to the SEC naysayers for years is, you don't know that. You just think you know that. Like they talk on opinions as if they were fact. I'm not going to call the guy out that I was just arguing with him, but he's an SEC
You mean those
homer.
mythical wins the SEC got?
There you go. I was literally going to say, this is where we get the mythical SEC championships compared to, the actual SEC championships. And then why is it happening? Did I conspiracy theorize that I thought the SEC could be brought down a notch once NIL and the transfer portal happened? I did. I did not think it would be this fast. I did not think it would be this lethal, this quick to the SEC. Shane Gillis was on game day 2 weeks ago. I mean, it was absolutely hilarious before that Notre Dame Indiana game. I know he's a Notre Dame fan, so you don't want to hear that necessarily, but he called the SEC and Nick Saban out right on their network, right into their face. Absolutely hilarious, because he don't care. He's a comedian. He just goes back to his regular job. And it was amazing. I mean, he called it right off.
He pissed Saban off.
And Saban deserves a ton of respect, and he's pissed.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it.
But the funny thing is, he's one of those guys that wants to act like that what happened didn't happen. We recruited. Yeah, you did, but you recruited with bags of freaking cash. Well, we turned guys in the NFL. Well, yes, but that's because you bought the best guys. It's like they forget the next step.
Obviously, the two biggest things in college football are talent acquiring talent and developing it, right? Iowa is a team that does a really good job development. I would like to see them do better bringing the talent in. But Alabama and Georgia, like, they have been amazing at acquiring talent. That is their number one thing. The fact that I mean, we knew that was happening. I think maybe even to a certain degree, it was happening even more than I thought. Now, what I think you are seeing is that when you water down the talent that they can grab, and it has to lean back towards development and scheme, they're not as good at it. These SEC coaches just brought the talent in and screamed at them to play hard, because that's essentially what they needed to do. I'm not saying there wasn't any X's and O's. Don't get me wrong. But there is more X's and O's and development that's going to have to happen in the SEC. We're going to see. We're going to see what's going to happen with some of these coaching changes and hires that's going to happen over the years. I wonder if they bring in more program developers.
Absolutely. Before we go, I sent out a tweet the other day that I stirred up some people, which I like to do from time to time. And I wish I would have used a different word, but I said that Ashton Jeanty is a good running back. Don't get me wrong, but in the Big Ten, he would have just been an average running back. And by that, I should have said, hold on. By that, what I should have said was average of the top four, because those top four running backs in the Big Ten are pretty good, but the Big Ten has 6 of the top 10, 7 of the top 15 run defenses in the country.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference. And everybody wants to say, well, he'd be running behind an offensive or a better offensive line. Yeah, but that still does not change the fact that defenses are faster, bigger, stronger.
For sure. I mostly agree with you. I mean, obviously,
I think he would have been like a 1,500. I think he would have been a 1,500 to 1,800 yard rusher.
Certainly his yardage total, touchdown totals would have come down. I completely agree with you, because of the talent pool and honestly just coaching prowess of so many defensive coordinators in the Big Ten. I 100% agree with that. But the word average and Ashton Jeanty should not be in the same sentence. He is unique. And then I want to say, I just don't understand. I hate this about Jim. I hate this about college football Twitter. I hate this about our society. Why is it that right when we go to Scattaboo, who was a blast to watch, why do we immediately have to turn around and attack Ashton Jeanty? Why can't we just have 2 really good running backs. Why can't we have three? Because Caleb Johnson was there. There was multiple really awesome running backs to watch this year. Just because one had a better game for sure with Scatterbo, that was the dude performed off the charts. I don't think that means we have to turn around and crap on Etty. Like I think there was a lot of exciting, running back play, and obviously we believe a lot of it was in the Big Ten this year too.
And my point wasn't to do that. It's more about the unbelievably toughness of the Big Ten run defenses.
For sure.
You have these guys don't. Indiana number 1, Ohio State number 2. They've got Michigan was like number 4. It was when I started going through it, I'm like, holy crap! They had all these 10. I'm like, wow. But of the 18 teams, last thing in the Big Ten, only 5 teams had a running back go over 1,000 yards. Only 5. Penn State had 2.
And part of that is part of that is a lot of teams split carries because these Big Ten coaches, they know that it's just different now. Like back in the day, there was more, for lack of a better term, patsies that teams could play where their running back wasn't taking as many hits. Not only are there more teams that are just better now, there's more games being played by these running backs. We used to have 10 game seasons, back not that long ago in like the 80s and early 90s. Now that we are, standard 12, some of these guys are playing 15, 16 games. You cannot give these running backs the amount of carries. So they're splitting these carries up. It's just, it's the way they do in the NFL. It's just going to be how it's going to be moving forward.
Absolutely. Jeffrey the Greek, glad to have you back. Hopefully you can make it back next week. What are the next games? Gee whiz.
Thursday and Friday, I believe.
Next Thursday and Friday. Can't wait.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to talk about it. Don't forget, pavedrain.com. Keep the speaking of which, we've got snow coming. You need pavedrain.com. I'm trying to get the daggone logo up right now. I hit the wrong button. But there we go.
www.pavedrain.com. You'll find the heated information right away. Please feel free to look me up if you got any information. Not as hard as you think. Much more efficient than you think.
Keeping your driveway clean. Appreciate you, brother. That's going to wrap it up. I cannot thank everyone enough. A fun week, New Year's week. Heading out for the weekend and getting prepared for the snow. Hope you have a great one. Cannot thank you guys enough, as always, for being around for us. And we'll be back on Monday to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.